Welcome to Study Loop.
So there's essentially 3 points that we want to make. The first is that in any particular instance, it's very difficult to actually prove that there was discrimination that occurred and that was the reason for some results, such as not being hired or not being admitted to college or whatever the case may be. Just as one example, Costco, the wholesaler, was not that long ago sued because the accusation was made that they are not promoting women as much as men. And the fact of the matter is, their management does not have as many women as men. But you have to realize that Costco only promotes from within, meaning they take people who already work at Costco at lower levels, and they're the ones who are allowed to apply for management positions. So, because men apply at much higher rates than women do for those jobs, there are many more male applicants. And even though the female applicants are actually given jobs at a higher rate than the male applicants, because there are so many more applicants in total, they end up getting more management jobs. And despite all of these facts, Costco was still sued. And very often companies just decide that it's cheaper to settle out of court instead of going through protracted litigation. But the point is that it's insanely hard to actually prove that there was in fact discrimination in a certain case. But even if there was, that brings us to our second point, which is the only way you can actually help one group or one person is if you hurt another group or another person. To explain this, let's look at another lawsuit that's, as of the time of this recording, is pending. Female Asian students are suing an Ivy League school because that Ivy League school discriminates against them. It hurts them by making it more difficult for them to get into college because they have lower standards for male applicants of a different racial group. So they're trying to help one group by hurting another. So even if we don't necessarily think of it that way, that's what's actually happening. You are denying someone a job in order to give it to someone else. And the reason you're denying it brings us to our third point, is because this is still nothing short of discrimination. We may not want to call it that. We may like to call it something else, like affirmative action or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, you are denying something to someone on the basis of race or sex or whatever the case may be. You are denying it to them based on an immutable characteristic. In other words, it's something that they can't change, something they were born with, right? How happy would you be if your teacher in class said to you, listen, because of the race into which you were born, you tend to get higher test scores than the student sitting next to you who is of a different race. So therefore, on the next test, we're going to take some points off of your test and add it to the other students to try to make things more fair. So the very last point that we want to address here is any system that has rewards, you want those rewards to be based on merit. In other words, you get what you earn. If you work harder, you get paid more. If you study more, you get better grades. Your race, your sex, your hair color, your eye color, none of those things should matter.